President of Baseball Operations, Michael Hill, joins us now. And for you, certainly not only a busy day, but a busy week leading into what was a last-minute deal. When did the deal come together? Because the deadline passed, and there was no news out of Marlin land, and there were a lot of fans that were, but it trickled out just after that.
Yeah, I think we hit the button with maybe a minute or so left to make it official, but a long week, I would say. Our staff, our entire baseball operations staff, is here in town and just looking for ways to upgrade our roster, and I think we were successful in what we're able to do today.
You know, it came down to the wire. What officially has to be signed or done to make it just that official? Yeah,
you have to agree on the players and approve the medical. And that's really what takes the longest, to make sure you have to get through everything from a medical standpoint, and that was what took the time, and pushed up until the deadline.
What has to go? What has to go by 4 o'clock? Just agree on the players?
No, it has to be official.
Wow,
it has to be everything. Yeah, all the conditions of the transaction have to be approved, and everything has to be signed off on by 4 o'clock.
Quick scouting reports, Michael, on Cozart and Kike Hernandez.
I think the people of South Florida are going to like both. Jared Cozart is a power right-handed pitcher, fits exactly with who we are, and it was very helpful that we just saw him over the weekend. I think as we went through the process of identifying controllable young starters, he was one that we definitely had our eye on, and we're very fortunate we were able to face him over the weekend in Houston. And in Kike Hernandez, he actually played in that game also, a very versatile piece, and something for a National League club is very valuable, because you can play him everywhere in the infield and everywhere in the outfield. And I think in the talent that we had to give up, it was imperative from our standpoint that we got that young starting pitcher, 24 years old, who fits nicely with the staple that we have already, and then another versatile piece that is very young and also very controlled.
Todd Frazier jam. Tom Kohler looks terrific tonight. And in Hernandez, you get a 22-year-old versatile player. Now, when they signed him, they were in the National League. Once they went to the American League, is this a guy that holds more value for a National League club rather than an American League club like Houston?
Well, I think he filled a lot of roles with Houston, just because of his versatility, as they had injuries there, and that was a piece that they didn't really want to part with. But from our standpoint, and the players that we did include, we wanted to make sure that we got quality coming back on top of Cozart. And in Hernandez, we know we have a player who can play second, short, third, anywhere in the outfield, and that's extremely valuable in the National League.
Tom Kohler just getting outs, an 8-pitch inning. Michael, can you stick around another half inning?
Of course.
Mike Hill is with us. Tom Kohler is dealing tonight. The Marlins acquiring Jared Cozart and Kike Hernandez, and another young player, a Virginia Tech guy. Tommy and I were looking at his numbers. He's having quite a year in AAA right now.
Austin Waits, the center fielder who report to AAA New Orleans for us, and I think as we look at the deal in its entirety in trading away an upper-level top defensive prospect like we did in Marisnik, we wanted to try to recoup a similar talent, and in Waits you get a speed, defensive, and a very offensive player as well, doing well at AAA, hitting in almost 330 stolen bases.
High on base percentage.
High on base percentage, and another piece to fit very well in our system.
Michael, people will ask this. They'll say, okay, a #1 draft pick in Colin Moran, a guy who maybe in spring training it was said you're looking 2-3 years down the road, he's going to be the everyday third baseman. How does that come about with his being part of that trade going to Houston?
Well, I think you see the cost of acquiring starting pitching, especially young, controllable, productive. I mean, Jared Cozart is a major league productive starting pitcher, so you got to give to get when you're talking about doing a deal. But Houston was looking for upper level offensive talent, and when you start the conversation about making a trade, you see where the fit is, and we did have a couple pieces for us that we felt like we could move that were very good prospects in Marisnik and Moran. And I think part of the Moran conversation of why you include him is the emergence of Casey McGee, and the fact that you have a productive third baseman who who you do control and you hope that will be around for a while. And as you look at ways to upgrade your roster, you need that starting pitcher. You want that starting pitcher. And it was at the cost of Moran, ultimately.
I know they didn't develop Twitter just for the trading deadline, but it sure makes it a lot of fun. Mike Winters behind home plate getting set. 2 weeks coming into today. I always amuses me to read reports that teams are talking about this player, teams are talking about that player, because it occurs to me that if a general manager calls you about a deal, he's going to kick the tires on a lot of your guys, right? He's going to ask about Stanton. He's going to ask about some of your pitchers. Of your team, say the 25 guys on your roster, how many of those guys came up in a conversation, not that you were thinking about it, but someone said, hey, is he available or is he available?
Well, I think once you got an idea of what that club was looking to do, then you had a feel for what players they were looking at. And even before the conversation started, we made sure that they were very clear that Stanton was not on the table, that we weren't sellers per se, and that we weren't looking to take anything off of our club. So you tried to eliminate that right off the bat, that you were looking to add to what you had. And I think that sort of directed the direction you were going in your conversations.
What trade stunned you today? Because I expect you guys are either on Twitter or on the internet. You're watching just like the fans at home.
The job that Boston did. I mean, you're talking about the defending world champions, and there was a lot of movement there, which you don't see very often. But obviously they made some decisions and decided to go the direction that they did. That was the one that probably, as we're in our meetings and we're discussing things, they were extremely active. And you're talking about a defending world champion, and they did the things that they felt were necessary to sort of revamp their roster. Having a challenging season, and that was the one that probably caught us off.
You saw two names on there that are starting outfielders. You would think with Alan Craig and Yoenis Cespedes, and Joe Kelly, a starter to plug into the rotation.
Definitely big names going both ways, and I think that was probably the biggest surprise of how many big pieces went both ways.
How about David Price to the Tigers?
Yeah,
part of that rotation.
Definitely see some of those American League clubs ramping up, and those are teams going for the gusto.
We were saying, do you think that was a spinoff of Oakland making that deal?
I think they took notice. They definitely took notice of what was going on in their league, and I think every GM around this time of year, they're trying to find ways to help their club get over the hump and put themselves in a position to ultimately win a World Series.
Mike, are you done? I know the trading deadline is come and gone, but everybody around baseball knows that deals can be had in the month of August. Just a little tougher to get guys through waivers.
Yeah, and you're never done. I can honestly say that Dan Jennings and I we're never done because you're always looking for that next opportunity to upgrade your roster.
Line drive in the corner off the bat of Ozuna. It bangs into the wall. Heisey picks it up, and Ozuna pulls in at second base.
Hey, while we have Mike here, I want to ask him about Ozuna and Echeverria. Both of these guys, Ozuna's been a little streaky, but boy, he's put up some nice numbers, and we love the way Echeverria has stayed with his game plan all year, even when he's hit some balls hard for outs.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and I think we've talked about it so much as we entered the year that we wanted to add some proven offensive pieces, but you really felt like your offense was going to improve because you had some very talented young players who were going to make adjustments, and yes, they're still young and they still are going to make young mistakes, but I think their talent and their ability is definitely obvious, and you see that you're talking about championship caliber players in Ozuna and Echeverria and guys who fit nicely into to creating a deeper lineup for us.
A 1-0 ball game, and Ozuna at second, Echeverria up. Cracks it right center field, hits it well in the gap, and a diving catch by Heisey robs the Marlins of a run and ends the fourth.
There was that game plan and approach that we just talked about.
Well, great play to get him.
Congratulations on getting your starting pitcher and getting Kike Hernandez.
Thanks, Mike.
No, thank you guys.